12 states are collectively suing President Trump over his controversial tariff policy, and the big question is this a legal battle or a political attack? Will this lawsuit change the way future presidents can act, or is it just a temporary power struggle? It's a fight not just over tariffs, but over the principles of power and control within the American political system. On April 23, 2025, a major lawsuit was filed at the International Trade Court in New York, sparking a nationwide uproar. 12 states, led by Democratic attorneys general, collectively took the Trump administration to court. These states include Arizona, Oregon, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Maine, Minnesota, Nevada, New Mexico, New York, and Vermont. This lawsuit is far from just a simple legal dispute. The states argue that President Trump has overstepped his authority by using an old law, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, EPA, to impose extremely high tariffs without congressional approval. These tariffs, for the first time in history, could reach as high as 145% or even 245% on goods from China. Now, these states are demanding that the court overturn this decision, claiming that Trump has abused his power, leading to chaos and significant damage to the economy. When 12 states collectively took the Trump administration to court, they did not do so hastily or emotionally. They had clear reasons and sharp legal arguments, all of which revolve around one central point: Trump has overstepped his bounds. First and foremost, what infuriates the states is the president's use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, EPA, as a magic wand to impose extremely high tariffs. The issue lies in the fact that this law was not designed to be used in such a manner. Enacted in 1977, the IEEPA only permits the president to act when the country faces serious, unprecedented foreign threats. In nearly half a century, no president has ever used this law to impose tariffs, despite major events like the global anti-drug campaign or long-lasting trade crises. Yet now Trump is using this very law to impose tariffs as high as 145%, even 245% on Chinese goods, a move that the states see as a severe abuse of power. The lawsuit does not stop there. It also directly challenges a key point in the U.S. Constitution. The power to levy taxes belongs to Congress, not the president. This principle has been firmly established for a long time, but according to the suing states, Trump seems to have completely ignored it. Instead of waiting for Congress to approve, he has issued executive orders announcing tariffs in a surprising manner. Even through social media, this unpredictability, according to the attorneys general, not only causes market turmoil, but also creates a dangerous precedent, where a president can make unilateral decisions without any oversight. This is what has driven the 12 states to take action. They argue that Trump's actions have broken constitutional order, challenged the role of Congress, and thrown the economy, as well as the nation's credibility, into chaos. To them, this is no longer simply a policy dispute, but a battle to defend the boundaries of power and uphold transparency in America's rule of law system. On April 22, 2025, as Americans were still grappling with rising prices and a volatile market, President Trump's administration dropped a policy bombshell, a series of steel-hard tariffs. The policy, announced quietly but shockingly, had the potential to reverberate not only throughout the United States, but across global trade. Under this new policy, more than 180 trading partners worldwide would face retaliatory tariffs ranging from 10% to 50%. But the most special and controversial focus was on China. For the world's most populous country, Trump showed no mercy. A range of Chinese goods would be hit with tariffs as high as 145%. And for some specific products, the rate could even soar to 245%. The mere thought was staggering, and the business community was in a state of panic. Why would the Trump administration take such drastic action? The White House explained that the U.S. was facing a national emergency. The issues cited included a persistent trade deficit, illegal immigration flooding the borders, and, notably, the alarming flow of fentanyl, a deadly synthetic drug, into the U.S. According to the Trump administration, the tariffs were a way to clamp down, regain control, and protect America. Of course, the reaction from the White House to the wave of criticism was far from soft. Deputy Press Secretary Kush Desai immediately shot back, calling the 12-state lawsuit a witch hunt, suggesting that it was more of a political maneuver than a legitimate legal dispute. He asserted that the administration would use every legal tool necessary to defend its decision and, more importantly, to protect national interests. But the big question still hangs in the air. Is this policy truly protecting America, or is it inadvertently pushing the economy into unpredictable waters? Just days after President Trump announced the new tariff policy, California, one of the largest economies in the U.S., could not stand idly by. On April 16, 2025, the state filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court in San Francisco, arguing that the tariffs were causing significant damage to its economy. With 12 major ports, California handles about 40% of U.S. imports, and a loss of billions of dollars seemed inevitable. In particular, the state's $23.6 billion, 0-cent agricultural export industry is under threat, as China has imposed retaliatory tariffs of up to 125%, putting products like almonds and raisins at risk of unsold inventory. It's not just the large states. Small businesses are also facing severe consequences from the tariffs. Terry Seiling, the owner of a small business in New York, found herself paying an unexpected $25,000, 0 cents in tariffs alone in 2025. If the situation doesn't improve, the damages could reach $1,200,000, 0 cents by 2026, an astronomical sum for a small business. Terry's story represents thousands of small and medium-sized enterprises across the U.S. who are bearing the brunt of White House decisions, with no clear end in sight. In Oregon, both the agricultural and sports equipment sectors are suffering heavy blows. Retaliatory tariffs from China have caused products like blueberries and wine to be blocked at the border or taxed heavily, undermining their competitiveness. The sports industry has also been impacted as tariffs affect the export of sporting goods. Although the European Union has temporarily suspended retaliatory tariffs, they have warned that they will implement them if negotiations fail. Oregon's Attorney General Dan Rayfield criticized the policy, arguing that the public cannot sit idly by while food prices and utility bills soar. The new tariff policies under President Trump have not only affected large businesses and states, but also directly burdened the American public, the ones with the least voice in political disputes. In states like Illinois and Minnesota, consumers are already feeling the impact. Prices for food and electronics have risen by 10% to 15%, making life more difficult for everyday citizens. Common items such as supermarket groceries and electronics, once easily affordable, have now become a financial strain. The issue goes beyond just higher prices. Economists from Harvard University have pointed out that if the situation doesn't improve, inflation could rise by an additional 2% to 3% in 2025. The primary cause of this inflation is the sharp increase in import costs, which has caused the price of foreign goods, particularly electronics and technology items, to surge. For many families, this is not merely an inconvenience, it's a punch to their income and daily purchasing power. What were once debates over tax policies now directly concern the livelihood and financial stability of American households. When the lawsuit from 12 states was filed, the response from the U.S. Congress was noteworthy. Under Republican control, Congress showed no clear action, prompting many, including California Governor Gavin Newsom, to ask, where is Congress's role? Newsom criticized Speaker of the House Mike Johnson for Congress's failure to oversee the president's actions, allowing Trump to make decisions without consensus. The lawsuit also carried clear political undertones, as all 12 plaintiff states are led by Democratic attorneys general. Despite Republican governors in Nevada and Vermont, they joined the lawsuit, raising doubts that this was not just a tax dispute, but a political attack on Trump. The White House immediately condemned the lawsuit, calling it a political attack aimed at weakening Trump's administration in the trade war. The lawsuit is not only a legal battle, but also a reflection of the power struggle between factions in Washington. President Trump's tariff war has not only captured the attention of U.S. states and Congress, but has also sparked significant concern within the American business community. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the largest business organization in the country, chose not to join the lawsuit. Instead, it has opted to engage in lobbying efforts to persuade Trump to reconsider his policies. The chamber is worried that even if the lawsuit is successful, Trump may still continue imposing tariffs under different legal provisions, leading to long-term negative consequences. However, some organizations, such as the Liberty Justice Center and the New Civil Liberties Alliance, have filed their own lawsuits opposing the use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, EPA, to impose tariffs. They argue that the misuse of this law could have severe consequences for the economy. Trump's tariff policies are not only affecting the US, but they have also prompted retaliation threats from China, the EU, and Canada. The World Trade Organization, WTO, has warned that if the trade war continues to escalate, global trade could contract significantly, deeply impacting the international economy. This lawsuit is being closely watched, as it carries the risk of plunging the world into a trade crisis. The lawsuit, filed by 12 states against President Trump's tariff policies, is not only a legal battle, but could set a significant precedent for presidential power in the future. If Trump loses the case, the use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEPA, to impose tariffs would be restricted, preventing future presidents from imposing tariffs without congressional approval, thus safeguarding the principle of separation of power. Conversely, if Trump wins, it could set a dangerous precedent, allowing future presidents to abuse power without the need for Congress, undermining democracy. Legal experts have also provided important insights. Lisa Goistein, an expert from the Brandon Center for Justice, believes the lawsuit has a high chance of success, citing the precedent set by the Supreme Court in rejecting overreach by the Biden administration in the student debt forgiveness case. Meanwhile, Sachos Pahit, a professor at Brooklyn Law School, argues that Trump's use of the IEPA to impose tariffs is unreasonable, as the trade deficit and decline in manufacturing are consequences of free trade policies, and any change should require congressional consensus. This lawsuit is not just a legal challenge, but a confrontation over the principles of power, determining the control of presidential authority and the role of Congress in making critical decisions. The outcome of this case will not only affect Trump, but will also shape how future presidents govern the nation. As the trade war between the US and its international partners intensifies, a dramatic lawsuit has erupted that could reshape the entire power dynamic in Washington. 12 states, led by Democratic attorneys general, are challenging President Trump's tariff policies, with the aim not only to protect the economy, but also to redefine the future balance of presidential power. Will this lawsuit be a major victory for congressional control over executive authority, or will it pave the way for an unchecked and powerful presidency? The outcome of this case will not only affect Trump, but will determine how future presidents govern the nation.